Okay, you're about to watch one of the most uncomfortable royal interviews in hindsight. It's 2018, they're the Fab Four, everyone's smiling. But what Meghan says here, it's not just awkward, it's revealing. Because behind the polished delivery and team branding, something else is going on. There's a quiet repositioning, a subtle isolation tactic, and the moment Harry's orbit began to shift. Let's break this all down. But before we begin, here's the intro. Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe. This wasn't just a panel, it was foreshadowing of what was to come. In February 2018, Meghan Markle joined Prince Harry, Prince William, and Catherine, Princess of Wales, on stage for what was supposed to be a feel-good introduction to the Fab Four. But what I'm going to show you today are snippets that show the cracks were already showing. There's actually so much to uncover in that happened during this interview, but I'm going to focus just on one angle today. It was even recently reported in the Daily Mail, February 23rd of this year. The title of an article that says, "Was this the moment we should have realized there was discontent within the Fab Four?" Footage reveals the forced smiles and awkward glances at the first and only outing that William and Catherine had with Harry and Meghan. I'm going to use this article to introduce what the Fab Four was and what this event was, and then we'll get into the 3 video clips I'm going to show you today. The article begins when Princes William and Harry strode out on stage with their partners, their first ever joint event on February 28, 2018. They were welcomed by a glorious round of applause. Just a side note, Harry and Meghan's wedding was in 3 months, so at this point, they're not even married yet. The article continues, the first order of business for the Royal Quartet was an event for the Royal Foundation where they unveiled their charitable vision for the future. Launched in 2011, the Royal Foundation was set up by William and Harry as the main vehicle to pursue their charitable and philanthropic interests. The event also served as the informal royal working debut of Harry's then fiancée, Meghan Markle. This I'm not going to read too much of that, but it just mentions here that it was a 22-minute interview. The article continues, things finished so badly that it was later decided the Fab Four would only appear together in the context of larger group royal engagements like Trooping the Color. A lot of the discord at the event seemed to take place behind the scenes, away from the glare of the TV cameras. And although Harry and Meghan didn't decide to leave the royal family until nearly 2 years later, many commentators now regard the Fab Four's famous launch as an early clue that things were already going wrong. I see how this article is saying that a lot of it happened behind the scenes, but actually, you can see it in the interview. There are a lot of red flags. I'll make more videos about it because honestly, the dynamics that you're seeing here, they need to be talked about. The last part of this article I want to read says they point out that behind the painted smiles and awkward glances, dysfunction was already bubbling under the surface, perhaps down to one member's need to capture the limelight. Despite not even being an official member of the royal family until her wedding a few months later in May, Meghan apparently did not feel like she needed any time as an apprentice. We've heard this so many times with Meghan too. The Queen had approached her, asked her if she wanted to have Duchess Sophie be a guide for her, a mentor for her, and Meghan's response is, "That's okay, I've got Harry." So she really resisted having to learn anything new. She was going to hit the ground running, as she always says, in the way that she wanted to. We're going to get into that a little bit further in this video, where I'm going to talk about collaboration versus competition and how narcissists, they're just not collaborators. So what I'm going to show you are 3 different video clips. The first one will be William speaking, then Meghan, then Harry. William spoke like an heir, team focused, legacy driven. Meghan, she skipped the group entirely and went straight into Harry and I see the world similarly. It sounds romantic, but this wasn't love, it was leverage. And Harry, he looked like a man caught in a tug of war between family and brand. We're actually watching her exit plan unfold in real time. Let's start with that very first video clip.
I think we've looked at ways of collaborating again. I think it'd be wonderful if we could do another project or another campaign, similar impact here together, or as a unit, as a family.
William, what we're seeing is a duty-driven, institutionally framed man. He says, I think we've looked at ways of collaborating again. I think if we could do another project or campaign, similar impact. And then he talks about doing it together as a unit, as a family. This isn't just filler. It's very on brand for William. Every word reflects how he sees the royal family's purpose. The first part, he says, collaborating again. It implies there's a process. The projects are coordinated. They're not spontaneous passion projects. He then emphasizes project or campaign. This emphasizes institutional action, not personal branding or emotional storytelling. And he finishes his sentence with unit, as a family. This is key because he's trying to present the royal family as more than relatives. They're a working team, a public service structure. The language is conservative and strategic, not in the political sense, but in terms of image management. He's framing the family as a functional collective, like a legacy brand that works best when unified. It shows that William is focused on optics of cohesion. He wants to anchor the public perception in we instead of I. His phrasing suggests also that he already sensed tension, saying if we could instead of when we do. It's like he's adding a layer of caution, like he knew they weren't fully aligned. There's a subtle contrast in tone. William speaks as the heir and custodian of something bigger, and you'll see later that Meghan speaks as a passionate person carving her own space, and you'll also see that Harry acts like he is caught in between. To me, the best way to summarize what William said is that he is using this moment to plant the flag for continuity. It's his way of saying this works when we're unified, and if we fracture, it doesn't. And just 2 years later, the fracture became public. Now let's get into what Meghan says.
And I certainly know how passionate I am, and Harry and I see the world so similarly in our approach of being very hands-on with things.
There is so much we need to talk about here. Meghan says, I certainly know how passionate I am, and Harry and I see the world so similarly, and our approach of being very hands-on with things. This isn't just a comment, it's an early mission statement. It reveals several things. The first is she avoids talking about the four entirely. Everyone else talks about working together as a team. Meghan skips that completely. Her focus is either I, establishing herself as a purpose-driven individual, or Harry and I, framing their relationship as distinct, aligned, and as just one unit. That's a subtle but crucial pivot away from the Fab Four narrative and toward what would soon become the Harry and Meghan brand. She pivots hard into I'm passionate and Harry and I see the world so similarly. There's no mention of William or Catherine, no nod to collective goals, just a clean reframing. Me and my future husband and our shared mission. And this is where we start to see something deeper and honestly, something that foreshadowed everything that came after. Because Meghan, like many people with narcissistic traits, is not a collaborator by nature. She's a competitor. That's the fundamental dynamic of narcissistic behavior. Even when you're technically on the same team, a narcissist sees other people as obstacles, stepping stones, or irrelevant. The idea of sharing a spotlight, deferring to hierarchy, or moving as one cohesive group, That's just not comfortable for someone like Meghan. It's existentially threatening. So when she joined the royal family, an institution built entirely on collaboration, duty, and deference, her core wiring was in direct conflict with the job. The crown isn't a platform, it's a position in a system. And Meghan didn't want a position, she wanted to be the platform. That's why even in this early panel, 3 months before the wedding, you can already see the tension. William is talking about us as a unit. Meghan is talking about her drive and her alignment with Harry. And Harry, he's stuck trying to patch it all together in real time. The monarchy expected loyalty, hierarchy, and team play. Meghan brought ambition, individualism, and a competitive mindset. The collision was inevitable. It was just a matter of when and how publicly it would explode. Meghan also mentions this hands on statement. That phrase is carefully chosen and it's loaded. In an influencer and activist circle, it's trying to signal direct involvement, authenticity, and disruption of traditional methods. And I think you could consider the royal method traditional. She's basically saying to modern audiences, I don't do stuffy protocols. I get in there and I do the work. But it also hints at control. In narcissistic dynamics, hands-on can mean micromanaging every piece of your image and needing to dominate process, messaging, and execution. In the beginning of this statement, she says, I certainly know how passionate I am. It's striking that she leads with her own drive, not the shared vision of the group. In a panel that's meant to present unity, her wording says, I'm here for my passion. Harry and I are on the same page. The rest of you are not the point. This is subtle image realignment from institution to individual, from tradition to passion, and from royal family to impact couple. So, how has this aged? It's quite chilling. In just a few sentences, Meghan does the very thing she's often accused of. She repositions herself as the lead. She recasts Harry as her like minded partner. She omits the royal team she was meant to be joining. In hindsight, this was less dutiful Duchess and more main character marketing strategy. I want to add something incredibly important and malignant behind what Meghan said. And just to reiterate, the statement was, I certainly know how passionate I am, and Harry and I see the world so similarly. It sounds nice. It sounds like romantic support, but in reality, this is how emotional isolation begins. It starts with a compliment and it ends with a wedge because now it's not just love, it's them against everyone else. This type of statement can do several things. It creates a we versus them bubble by emphasizing how aligned she and Harry are, especially in contrast to the rest of the group. She subtly established an inner unit, which is her and Harry, and an outer unit, William, Catherine, and the institution. That's a powerful isolation tactic. It reinforces to Harry that they understand each other in a way no one else possibly could. This statement also signals uniqueness and superiority. It's not just that they're similar, it's that their worldview is better, more empathetic, more modern, more hands on. That allows her to bond with Harry and position the others as outdated or disconnected. It's subtle, but the undertone is they don't get it like we do. With this statement, Meghan is also really preparing for dependence, for Harry to be dependent on her. By laying this groundwork early in public and probably a lot in private, she primes Harry to trust her perspective over others. If conflict arises down the line with his family, he's already trained to think they don't see the world the way Meghan and I do. And the tactic appears benign to bystanders. It looks like closeness. No one watching the interview would think twice, except maybe me, because that was like nails on a chalkboard for me. But over time, this just us two mindset limits outside influence, which is a textbook way of fostering emotional dependence. Let me take that back. I'm sure many of you recognized it too. It's just another subtle way that control and isolation happened. So, what happens to someone who keeps hearing this same message, but is packaged in different forms? Number one, they start to internalize the bubble. Hearing we see the world the same way over and over makes the other person feel uniquely bonded, even fused with the speaker. It becomes an emotional shortcut. If we see the world the same way, then I don't need to question her take on anything. The result? Reduced critical thinking and a growing dependence on that one person's perspective. The second thing, they begin to mistrust outside opinions. If the messaging is always, we get it and they don't, then they, which includes family, friends, and advisors, start to feel like outsiders. The partner may start dismissing feedback from others as misguided, jealous, or uninformed. They just don't see what we see. The third thing that happens is that they defend the speaker even when it hurts them. Once the bond is that strong and insulated, loyalty overrides logic. The person may feel obligated to defend their partner even in situations that cause personal discomfort or public fallout. And finally, the fourth thing that happens, their identity becomes enmeshed. This repeated narrative doesn't just isolate them from others, it also absorbs their sense of self. It turns into our values, our mission, our truth. There's no longer room for his voice, only their brand. In short, this kind of repetition erodes boundaries. It doesn't just bring someone closer, it locks the door behind them. Let's get into the last clip.
But we're really looking forward to working as a pair and as a four going forward, and hoping to make as much of a difference where we can.
So you can see Harry, he's trying to take the middle ground. His comment sounds supportive on the surface, but if you dig deeper, it's all smoke. No specifics, no clear collaboration, just a polite nod to the team while gently signaling that the real story is him and Meghan. This is the beginning of a shift from prince to partner and eventually from insider to outsider. His statement reveals a couple of things. Look at the order of emphasis. He says a pair and a four. He centers the couple first and the group second. It hints that he already saw himself and Meghan as a standalone unit with its own mission separate from the foundation of the Fab Four. This statement is also a filler statement. It's warm, but it's vague. There's no specific cause, campaign, or goal referenced, just a general hope to make a difference. Compared to William, who talked about campaigns and family collaboration, Harry's language lacks structure. That may reflect his growing disengagement from royal protocol or his desire to carve something new with Meghan. And it subtly distances him from William. In royal speak, vagueness often masks disagreement. Harry may have been gesturing toward unity, but his vagueness, combined with Meghan's pivot to, in quotation marks, our passions, sets the couple apart, even in this very public, very early stage appearance. So let's get into some concluding remarks. The video clips I showed you are from February 2019, 3 months before the wedding, and the cracks were already there. William was holding the center, Meghan was establishing a new orbit, and Harry was trying to spin between both. In retrospect, it's not just awkward, it's foreshadowing. The dynamic never balanced out. It collapsed within 2 years, and this moment shows why. They weren't aligned on mission, structure, or public identity. I'm curious to know what you all think about this. This has been so fascinating for me, and there's so much more to dig into in this Fab Four interview. To be quite honest, I was watching the interview for a different purpose, and I this is what caught my attention this time. I was like, okay, I'm not going to make that other video I had in mind. I'm going to make this one because I think it's so important to see how soon Meghan was already creating discord. And to anyone on the outside, it wouldn't look like a big deal. All she said was, Harry and I are aligned. And that's important that she says that publicly. So imagine what's being said privately. This is even before being married. So please let me know what you all think about all this in the comments. If this was interesting to you, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I drop a new video. I'm actually creating a short guide that will be a companion to this video. I will be putting that on my Patreon. So Patreon members, please look forward to seeing that. It's going to include a red flag checklist, some affirmations, and some journaling prompts. I want to thank you all so much for listening. I love you all so, 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 so much. I can't wait till we have a live stream soon and I get to chat with all of you. I hope you all have a beautiful day and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.